evening, everyone. I'm Diwakar Vaish, the inventor and maker of Manav, India's first completely made in India humanoid robot. This robot has been This robot has been made, manufactured, designed, and every single part of this robot has been fabricated here in India itself. And not only that, this robot is special in a lot of different ways. For example, if we talk about this robot, it has two cameras, so it can see by binocular vision. And not only that, it has stereoscopic microphone as well. So what happens is it can listen to what you are saying, and not only that, it can also make out what you are saying from which corner of the room. So this is a really, really special robot. Not only that, when we talk about the construction of this robot is made out of a 3D printer. So that means we have been able to make structures which were earlier impossible to make by any kind of conventional techniques. And not only that, when we talk about 3D printing, there are a lot of perks which are adjoining that 3D printing technology. One of which is we are able to manufacture parts which are at least half the weight of normal parts and at least 25% less lighter than carbon fiber as well. So this is all about Manav. But what exactly are we looking at this point of time? We are looking at a transformation, an age where we are moving ahead from an era of machines down to the robot. Manav is one of the best examples of what a humanoid robot can do and what Indian technologies can do. But moving ahead of that, what can we actually achieve out of robots? Humanoid robot is it's the best example of all the robotic sciences clubbed together. But the important thing that needs to be thought over here is when we talk about a humanoid robot, it is actually very simple to make a robot which looks like a human, behaves like a human. But what is difficult is to make the robot ready to think like human. And that is very, very important in the age of robotics, because till the time we are not thinking like humans, till the time robots are not thinking like humans, we are not going anywhere close to full autonomy. So let's take an example of a gorilla. Gorilla is at least twice as powerful than any other human being. And yet, the fate of that gorilla is completely in our hands, which we are way less powerful, but what we are excelling at this point of time is the intellectual power. So it is insignificant if we make a very strong, very big robot till the time we don't have the intelligence in that robot. Now, the interesting thing when we are making robot is that we can actually see what is going around, how our hands are moving, how our face is moving, how we are actually reacting to the environment. But what we cannot see is what is going on inside our brain. And that's what we are trying to do with our latest technology. So one of the technology that we are using is EEG. Now, EEG stands for electroencapsulography. It has been used in medical domain for quite a long time now. And what it basically does, it senses what kind of neural activity is happening inside your brain at this point of time. So this is how the output of that EEG looks like. You cannot actually make out what it actually is depicting out from your head. But because of our special self-learning algorithms, we are able to find out what is the specific thinking that is going on inside your head. And after years and years of testing of this EEG devices on different brains and applying different algorithms, we have been able to make out what exactly you are thinking inside your brain. So this is a very small little headset, just like your headphone. It goes on your head, and after you put it on your head, I can get to know what you're thinking inside your brain. And that is the beauty of EEG. There are a lot of people who might think, what is he talking about? So I actually have a small video. So we made something called world's first mind-controlled wheelchair. So this was launched in 2016. Now the special thing about this wheelchair is it is made for people who have full body paralysis. Now what happens is these people, they cannot move, they cannot interact, they cannot do anything. Sometimes they are not even able to breathe by their own consciousness. So what we have done is we have put a brain sensing headset on their head, and this is just a wearable device. There's no surgery, there's no incision. You just put it on your head, and that person is now able to control the wheelchair just by thoughts. And this is the first time that a wheelchair like this has been created in the entire world. So this is a small video that we have for the mind control wheelchair. Can we play the video, please? So what you can see is that is the headset which is there on my head at that point of time, and it is communicating with the microcontroller which is there at the back of the wheelchair. I'm not controlling this wheelchair in any case or in any sense. The wheelchair is understanding what is going on inside my head at that point of time, and based on that, it is going in the direction in which I want. There are no buttons, there are no joysticks, there is no facial expressions. And just by facial expressions, Stephen Hawking, which is the best example of what a wheelchair can do, that wheelchair is controlled by facial expression and not by brain control, which makes this wheelchair the world's first completely brain controlled wheelchair, and it has been made completely here in India itself. Now, the question is, why is it so difficult? There is a sensor, and that senses what is going on inside your brain, and that has been medically proven. But what is the problem? Why did it took us so long from 1960s, 70s, 80s till right now to have that kind of a sensing algorithm to control things around us just by thinking? And the answer is diversity. Because everyone's brain is different. Your brain is different. Your brain is different. Your brain might be different. And if we make a generic algorithm, what will happen is it might work on one single person, but not on every single person's head. So we need to make a self-learning algorithm that just doesn't understand what is going on inside your head, but also adapt to the thinking processes going on at that point of time. Second problem, your brain is working differently in the morning, after you have lunch, in the evening, and when you are about to sleep. It has to accommodate for the different changes that is going on throughout the day, and then make the wheelchair go in the direction in which we want. Not only that, one of the biggest problems is that it is not important that the wheelchair moves, but it is important that the wheelchair stops when we want it to. Otherwise, a catastrophe can happen. So all these things, the control mechanism has to be super sophisticated, yet very, very easy to use. And that's why when you see the world's first brain control wheelchair, which is called Samarth, by the way, it has nothing written on it. It has just arrows, so you don't need to teach the person anything to control it. So this is what India can do with its technology. The question arises, where do we go next from here? We have controlled something just by thinking. How and where are we going? So once I was giving a lecture in some of the IITs, and I was giving the lecture on brain sensing technologies. So a person stood up and he said, "Sir, if you are able to sense what is going on inside your brain, can't you simply control C, control V?" I said, "Yes, you're sounding like an engineer, but I don't think that is possible." But that night, I was not able to sleep properly because this thought bugged me. And we went on to think whether it is actually possible or not. Because now what we are doing is we are understanding what is going on inside your brain, and the computer understands that too. When the computer is understanding what you're thinking at this point of time, can't we simply copy all those things into the robot? And the robot behaves exactly like you. Now, this is the question, and here is the answer. Don't play the video, please. Let me explain about this video. What you can see on my head is a more advanced kind of a brain sensor. Now, what this sensor does is, rather than one single point, it has 14 different points, and it gathers a lot of data. And it sends it down to the laptop, which is right there, and my laptop is connected to Manav. Now, I have an apple in my hand, and there is a bunch of grape over there as well. I love apples, and I hate grapes. So what is happening over here is I'll eat that apple, and after eating that apple, it will understand what I'm thinking at that point of time. So can we play the video so that we can understand what is going on? So I'm showing him this apple. He looks at the apple. He understands, okay, this is an apple. And after seeing the apple, I eat the apple. All the data that is being generated after eating the apple is transferred to Manav. Manav understands what I'm thinking at that point of time. Now, what I do is I pick up this piece of grape, and after picking up, Manav looks at the grape, then I eat the grape, and from my expression now as well, you can make out I'm not really pleased. Everything that happens after it is completely autonomous. Manav has learned how am I reacting to different things. Now I am showing him this apple, and he looks at the apple and he sways his arm forward. This, yes, I want this apple. Now, I don't like the grape. Let's see how he reacts to grape. He looks at the grape and says, no, I don't want this grape. This is the world's first example of brain cloning. My brain data is transferred to a robot. Robot processes it of what it has to do at that point of time. And after understanding it, when it encounters the same problem, it reacts exactly like I would have done in that kind of a situation. That's why it accepted the apple but rejected the grape. And my dear friend, this technology is just not a technology that we are just boasting about like this. We do have a patent for that as well. And we are officially the first country in the entire world to have this technology developed and successfully tested, brain cloning, here in India itself. Just by the name of patents, as far as my knowledge is concerned, to the best of my knowledge, ISRO filed 13 patents in 2015. In 2016, we filed one more patent than ISRO, which is 14. So we are improving the technology and we are throwing it down in the global domain, and we are making the technologies that will drive future, and we are trying to make India the robotics capital of the world. And by these technologies, we can't even know where we are going. It is a wild, wild direction. It is completely on what we implement it for. Now, one of the technologies or one of the things which techies, if there are any over here, would have noticed, like and dislike is not something that is expressed by a robot. That is an emotion. Robots are meant to go from point A to point B without any hesitation. That is what the work of robot is. But what we have copied by this experiment is that now we're just not able to copy the way humans are working, but we are also copying the human emotions into the robot. And hence, Manav becomes the first robot in the entire world to copy real human emotions into the robot. And now, not only that, he can also express those emotions in real time according to whatever is happening around it. This might seem like a very small thing to you, but think about it. What makes us innovative? If we all thought in the very same way, we end up at the very same solution. But we don't do like that. We are fuzzy in nature, and how we get fuzzy is because we have emotions. When a robot gets emotions, it approaches the problem in a different way. And that is also a part of the patent that we have filed, and we are successfully testing that, which makes the robot not only artificial intelligence, but also really intelligent. Real intelligence is the same intelligence that you and I would have. Why? Because it is copying the exact same way in which a person is reacting at that point of time. And not only that, it would be very, very specific to the emotions, to the likes and dislikes of the person who has been cloned at that point of time. That makes every single robot completely different. This technology is completely going to change the world. Now, where are we going next? Next is possibly superintelligence. Superintelligence, fancy word. What do we understand? I copy your brain, I copy your brain, I copy your brain. I copy brain of a scientist, I copy brain of a doctor, I copy brain of different people. I know at this point of time the sensors are not that capable, but we know how the technology is progressing, right? So in coming 5 to 10 years, we expect sensors which are way more accurate at capturing human emotional data and giving it down to the robot. Now, you might be thinking, okay, I have to wear the sensor throughout the day, and then it copies every single thing. But let me tell you something right now. There's an archaic technology by which we can control human emotions as well and what you're thinking. So I press a button, you become happy. I press a button, you become sad. It has been already implemented on patients who have depression. So you press a button, they become happy. So this technology is already there in the domain, and by that we can provoke your brain to think differently and then copy how your brain is reacting under different circumstances and give it down to the robot. Now we have copied brains of different people and we simply grid compute it. Computers are faster in talking to each other than any other human can in this entire world. The data exchange is very, very fast. The data computation is very, very fast. So now the robot would be capable of taking data at a very fast rate and giving solutions to the problems which are earlier considered impossible to be solved by human or mankind in a fraction of maybe minutes or even seconds. Who knows? This is where we are progressing, and it is my personal thought. Superintelligence would be the last invention that humans would ever make. Now, I go on to a topic which is fairly controversial and which is immortality. Now, think about it in a different way, not from the way of robotics, but let's say who you are. You are what you think, what you behave. If we have already copied what you're thinking at this point of time and the robot exactly behaves like you do in that particular situation, don't we have a clone of you? And when we do have a clone of you and it is a computer, it is scalable. We can put it anywhere. And possibly you're also immortal by that. That is also a technology that you'll be seeing in the very coming future. Finally, all of this technology is what we are researching on. You might be thinking, okay, this is very good, this is very nice, but how are you earning and what are you doing in the real scenario, and how are you benefiting the people around us? So in 2017, and it is my personal aim to bring robots down to your homes. We have robots in the industries from a very long time, but we don't really have robots around us helping us in day-to-day life. So in this year, 2017, we are launching 4 different robots which you can actually go ahead and buy from the market. And I leave you with one such robot which I wish you never ever require, but I just hope that whoever does, it changes his life completely. Can we play the video, please?
हमारा परिवार बहुत अच्छी प्रकार से चल रहा था।
माँ को तो यही चाहिए कि भाई मेरा अपनी खुशियाँ बच्चे पर न्यौछावर करती है। वो साइंटिस्ट बनना चाहता है कि मैं साइंटिस्ट बनूंगा।
कुछ ये ऐसा ही ट्रांसफार्मर था और उसमें पतंग लटकी हुई थी, जो कि बच्चे ने धागे को खींचा और रेलिंग में चिपक गया।
मेरे साथ ये एक एक्सीडेंट हुआ था सन 2011 में, जो मेरे को करंट लगा था, जिसकी वजह से मेरे एक हाथ पूरा काटना पड़ गया।
ये घटना होने के बाद अवध के बारे में तो मैंने सोचा कि सारी लाइफ खत्म।
जो आम लोग कर सकते हैं वो अब मैं नहीं कर सकता।
सर्च किया तो एक कंपनी है जो कि उसने कहा हाथ तो आ जाएगा लेकिन 35 लाख का होगा। और एक दिन मिस्टर दिवाकर जी से बात हुई तो इन्होंने चलता हुआ हाथ इन्होंने कहा कि हम बना करके देंगे और कम पैसों में बना करके देंगे।
ये एसेट वाले जो कर रहे हैं अच्छे काम कर रहे हैं।
अब जो पहले काम कर सकता था अब वो मैं कर सकता हूँ। जो भी मैं सोचता हूँ वो करता है, जैसे कब खुलना है कब बंद होना है, जैसे नॉर्मल हाथ है।
you. Just to end this is the world's cheapest prosthetic hand ever made. Rather than a cost of 35 lakh rupees to 70 lakh rupees, we are bringing it down to only and only 15,000 rupees, completely made in India. Thank you so much.